Hello everyone, welcome to the webinar. My name is Gwenaëlle and I am working at Mimetas as part of a PhD research on creating a placenta and a chip. In this webinar, I will answer 5 questions selected among those you sent us through our website, mimetas.com, regarding 3D cell culture. Okay, let's start with the first one, which is, what is the benefit of 3D cell culture compared to 2D cell culture, and is it easy to use? So, as you know, most cell culture are done in 2D. You grow cells at a monolayer in a culture flask or dish, typically made of plastic. These systems are easy and low cost, but have a lot of limitations. The problem is that 2D culture cells don't mimic the natural structure of tissues or tumors, because the interaction between cells and with the ECM are not the same as they would be in vivo. So you can have, for instance, cells with abnormal expression patterns, resulting in cells behaving differently from how they would in vivo. On the other hand, in 3D cell culture systems, the cells attach to one another and to a 3D ECM in a way that is more similar to the in vivo situation. So you can imagine that cells grown in 3D represent physiological conditions more accurately. They have the same morphology as in vivo. They also behave more similar to in vivo in terms of proliferation, migration, and differentiation. These are all features that lack in 2D cell culture. And I will say that one of the biggest advantages of 3D cell culture over 2D cell culture is its ability to better represent in vivo processes in terms of gene expression and response to toxic compounds, allowing for better translation of in vitro obtained data to in vivo. Now, are 3D cell culture easy to use? Well, that depends. Most systems are complicated. Some systems need tube and pump. Some don't permit to separate the access to apical and basal compartment. In some, it's difficult to collect cells or secreted factors for biochemical assays. And also, analyzing with microscopy can be challenging with certain ECM gel. At Mimetas, we have developed the organoplate. This platform looks like a standard 384 well plate, but it integrates 40 to 96 microfluidic chips. Here you can grow your cells in 3D and do much more than you would normally do in 2D culture. For instance, you can have intricate co-cultures or create perfused tubule. In this system, you can also easily access cell-conditioned medium on both apical and basal side of the tissue, perfuse nutrients and oxygen without the use of pump and tubes, give mechanical stimuli to the cells, and define concentration gradients of soluble factor. The limit here is only your imagination. With all these features, you can see how it's much easier to create more physiologically relevant tissue models. Now, on to the next question, which is, how can I do transport studies in your system? So once you have made tubules in the organoplate, it's pretty straightforward to do transport studies. Let's see what kind of assay you can do. If you want to study paracellular flu on transcellular transport, you can assess it indirectly by performing a biointegrity assay. For that, you perfuse the lumen of the tubule with a fluorescent dye, and you monitor the movement of this dye through the biotissue into the adjacent gel channel with a standard fluorescent microscope. Another alternative is the tear measurement, which uses transepithelial endothelial electrical resistance to measure the integrity of the tight junction dynamics. By the way, we have a new product called the OrganoTear that allows to quickly assess tear on the organoplate. You can check it on the website mimetas.com in our product page. On to the next method. The organoplate 3-lane also enables you to study transporter functionality. You can add a substrate for a transporter to a tissue, for example in the basal compartment, and then the sample can be taken from the apical compartment by simply pipetting the medium out of the wells of the channel. Then you can assess the content using, for example, mass spectrometry, ELISA, or metabolomics. Besides that, we have set up several imaging-based transport assays that look at the transporter of fluorescent molecules through specific transporter, such as the SGL2 transporter, the PGP, GLUT1, and ARMAP transporter. And finally, if you want to check the presence and localization of your transporters, you can also perform immunohistochemistry. You can measure the light intensity of the tagged antibodies directly inside the plate by confocal fluorescence microscopy and quantify it by using image analysis software. And besides looking at your transporter protein expression, you can also go further and detect and quantify RNA expression in your sample by performing quantitative RT-PCR. The process is really easy. You lyse the cells directly in the organoplate, then you take the medium out, pull it together, and you can perform the samples following the standard process, which is RNA isolation, cDNA synthesis, and RT-qPCR. Now let's move to the next question, which is, I want to study ontogenesis. Are there benefits in using the organoplate instead of a 2D assay? So you know that studying ontogenesis in vitro can be pretty tricky. With 2D in vitro models, you can study fundamental endothelial cell biology, such as migration and proliferation. However, since the models lack a 3D environment, the endothelial cells fail to show many of the typical hallmarks. Also, if lumina are formed in this type of model, it's often very difficult to perfuse them. And one of the biggest disadvantages is that when using the standard ontogenesis on material assay, is that the vessels are stable for a short period of time, like 1 or 2 days, giving a short window for experiments and assays. In the organoplate, you can easily study gradient-driven ontogenesis, and you can do that in high throughputs. In fact, you can grow 40 identical luminized and perfusable microvessels. Our protocol has been optimized to trigger ontogenetic protein that reproduces all the ontogenic events that occur in vivo, such as the differentiation of the endothelial cells into tip, stalk, and phalanx cells, and the formation of perfusable lumen. One of the big strengths of our model is that you can create reproducible gradients that you can maintain for up to 7 days, allowing for a much longer window to run assays. And since gradients and perfusion are two important things during the initial sprouting and the stabilization phase in ontogenesis, their integration in our platform makes our model uniquely suited to perform physiologically relevant studies on the formation and regression of the microvasculature in vitro. You can find the protocol for ontogenesis in organoplate on our website at mimetas.com/support in the Getting Started section. Now let's move to the next question, which is, how many cells do I need to culture in the organoplate? Well, this depends on the cell type that you're going to use and whether you culture your cells inside an ECM gel, such as neurons or liver cells, or against an ECM gel to create tubular structures, such as endothelial and epithelial tubules. So for in-gel seeding, you can usually go for a range between 10,000 cells to 80,000 cells per chips, which means that you will need approximately 500,000 to 3.2 million of cells to seed the whole organoplate, which, if you think about it, doesn't constitute a lot of biological material for the modeling of 40 identical and independent tissues. For against gel seeding, we usually go for a range between 10,000 to 40,000 cells per chips, which constitute a total of around 500,000 to 1.6 million of cells per trillion organoplate. And now let's move to the last question of this webinar, which is, what type of gel do you usually use? So in the organoplate, you can use any type of ECM, such as natural and synthetical extracellular matrices. Which one to use depends on the cell type you want to grow and the assays you want to perform. Among these different types of ECM, type 1 collagen matrix is the one we commonly use within our lab, as well as Matrigel, bovine collagen, and fibronectin. You can find the details on how to prepare collagen 1 and Matrigel-based ECM in the protocol available on our website at mimetas.com/support in the Getting Started section. So this was the last question for today. Thank you for your question. It was good to see that many people are interested in 3D cell culture and in the organoplate. I hope I could inform you enough, but if you have any other question, don't hesitate to send an email to the email address you see in the slide. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.